Chapter 1, Part C of Greener Than You Think. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Greener Than You Think by Ward Moore. Chapter 1, Part C. My alarm clock, as it did every morning, Sundays included, rang at 6:30, for I am a man of habit. I turned it off, remembering instantly I had given Miss Frances neither her pump nor her share of the sale. Of course, it was more convenient and time-saving to bring them both together, and I was sure she didn't expect me to follow instructions to the letter like an office boy, any more in these matters than she had in her restriction to agricultural use. Still, it was remiss of me. The fact is, I had spent her money as well as my own, not on dissipation, I hasten to say, but on dinner and an installment of my room rent. This was embarrassing, but I looked upon it merely as an advance, quite as if I'd had the customary drawing account to be charged against my next commissions. My acceptance of the advance merely indicated my faith in the future of the metamorphizer. I dissolved a yeast cake in a glass of water. It's very healthy, and I'd heard it alleviated dermal irritations. Lathering my face, I glanced over the list culled from the dictionary and stuck in the mirror the night before, for I have never been too tired to improve my mind. By this easy method of increasing my vocabulary, I had progressed at the time down to the letter K. While drinking my coffee, never more than 2 cups, it was my custom to read and digest stock and bond quotations, for though I had no investments, the only time I had been able to take a flurry there was an unforeseen recession in the market, I thought a man who didn't keep up with trends and conditions unfitted for a place in the business world. Besides, I didn't expect to be straightened indefinitely, and I believed in being ready to take proper advantage of opportunity when it came. As a man may devote the graver part of his mind to a subject and then turn for relaxation to a lighter aspect, so I had for years been interested in a stock called Consolidated Pemmican and Allied Concentrates. It wasn't a high-priced issue, nor were its fluctuations startling. For 6 months of the year, year in and year out, it would be quoted at 1/16 of a cent a share. For the other 6 months, it stood at 1/8. I didn't know what pemmican was, and I didn't particularly care, but if a man could invest at 1/16, he could double his money overnight when it rose to 1/8. Then he could reverse the process by selling before it went down, and so snowball into fortune. It was a daydream, but a harmless one. Satisfying myself Consolidated Pemmican was bumbling along at its low level, I reluctantly prepared to resume Miss Frances's pump. It seemed less heavy as I wound the hose over my shoulder, and I felt this wasn't due to the negligible quantity I'd expended on Mrs. Dinkman's grass. I just knew I was going to have a successful day. I had to. In moments of fancy, I often think a salesman is more truly a creative artist than many of those who arrogate the title to themselves. He uses words on one hand, and the receptivity of prospects on the other, to mold a cohesive and satisfying whole, a work of art, signed and dated on the dotted line. Like any such work, the creation implies thoughtful and careful preparation. So it was that I got off the bus polishing a new sales talk to fit the changed situation. One of your neighbors. I have just applied. I sneered my way past those houses refusing my services the day before. They couldn't have the metamorphizer at any price now. Then it hit my eyes. Mrs. Dinkman's lawn, I mean. The one so neglected, ailing, and yellow only yesterday. It wasn't sad and sickly now. The most enthusiastic homeowner wouldn't have disdained it. There wasn't a single bare spot visible in the whole lush, healthy expanse. And it was green. Green. Not just here and there, but over every inch of soft, undulating surface. A pale apple green where the blades waved to expose its underparts, and a rich, dazzling emerald on top. Even the runners, sinuously encroaching upon the sidewalk, were deeply virescent. The metamorphizer worked. The metamorphizer not only worked, but it worked with unbelievable rapidity, overnight. I knew nothing about the speed at which ordinary fertilizers, plant stimulants, or hormones took hold, but common sense told me nothing like this had ever happened so quickly. I had been indulging in a little legitimate puffery in saying the inoculant worked miracles, but if anything, that had been an understatement. It just went to show how impossible it is for a real salesman to be too enthusiastic. Nerves in knees and fingers quivering, I walked over to join the group, curiously inspecting the translated lawn. I had done this. Out of the most miserable, I'd made the loveliest. And for a paltry $5. I tried to recapture the memory of what it had looked like in order to relish the contrast more, but it was impossible. The vivid present blotted out the decayed past completely. "Overnight," someone said. "Yes, sir, just overnight. Wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't noticed just yesterday how much worse than the city dump it looked. Bet that stuff's 10 inches high." "Brother, you can say that again. Foot'd be closer." "Anyhow, it's the fattest looking grass I've seen since I left Texas. And the greenest. Guess I never did see such a green before." While they exclaimed about the beauty and vigor of the growth, my mind was racing in high along practical lines. Achievement isn't worth much unless you can harness it, and in today's triumph I saw tomorrow's benefit. No more canvassing with a pump undignifiedly on my back. No more manual labor. No, bold as the thought was, not even any more direct selling for me. This was big. Too big to be approached in any cockroach build-up slowly from the bottom way. It was a real top deal, in a class with nylon or jukeboxes or bubble gum. You could smell the money in it. First of all, I'd have to tie Josephine Francis down with an ironclad contract. Agents, dealerships, distributors, and a general sales manager, Albert Wiener, at the top. Incorporate! Get it all done in black and white and signed by Miss Francis right away, for her own good. An idealistic scientist, a frail woman, protect her from the vultures who'd try to rob her as soon as they saw what the metamorphizer would do. Such a woman wouldn't have any business sense. I'd see she got a comfortable living out of it and free her from responsibility. Then she could potter around all she liked. Incorporate. Interest, big money. Put it on a nationwide basis. A cut for the general sales manager on every sale. Besides, stock. Ooh, take the patent in the company's name. In 6 months, I'd be on my way to being a millionaire. I had certainly been right up on my toes in picking the metamorphizer as a winner, in spite of Miss Francis's kitchen and her lack of aggressiveness. Instinct. The unerring instinct of a wide-awake salesman for the right product. And for the right market. I mustn't forget that. Had I been content with her original limitation, I'd still be bumbling around trying to interest Farmer Hicks in some metamorphizer for his hay. Did you notice how thick it was? Well, that's Bermuda for you. Tell me they actually plant it on purpose in Florida. No kidding. Yes, sir. Know one thing, even if it looks pretty right now, I wouldn't want that stuff on my place. Have to cut it every day. Betcha. Tough looking, too. I'd rather take my exercise in bed. That's an angle, I thought. Have to get old lady Francis to modify her formula or something, else we'll never get rich. Slow down the rate of growth. Dilute it. Ought to be more profitable, too. Have to find out how cheaply the inoculant can be produced. No more inefficient hand methods. Of course, the fastness of growth wouldn't affect the sale to farmers. Help it, in fact. No doubt she'd had more than I originally thought in that aspect, I conceded generously. We could let them apply it themselves. Mail-order advertising, cut costs that way. Think of clover, or alfalfa. Or weren't they grasses? Anyway,